It's just been,
Kinda,
oh, we're good. It was fast that time.
yeah. How's everybody doing? Welcome tonight to our final 6 Pillars of Health. We're with Donna Schallenberg, and she's going to be walking us through the final pillar. Last week we had cognitive health, cognitive and mental health, and tonight Donna's going to walk through physical health. And just so you know, again, Donna's with To the Core Pilates and Nutrition, and she's an expert and been providing lots of good insight through this series. So I'm going to pass it on to you, and we can get started.
All right. I hope you're prepared with lots of good questions today, Peter.
Sure.
We're going to start writing right now.
Yeah,
We've got her. We've got her. And so physical health, I actually kept this one for the end on purpose, because this tends to be the only one that people think about and that they know anything about. The other ones always seem to kind of get left in the dust. So I kind of thought, well, the other ones, we need to draw a little bit more attention to them and make sure that people understand those ones. And then this one is the biggest one. It has the biggest impact on all the rest of them, right? So our physical health impacts everything else. There's not one of the other pillars that this doesn't touch. And so the big ones really are your physical health really impacts your mental health. It impacts how your body functions and how it moves. So let's just say you get up in the morning and it's like, oh my goodness, everything hurts when I get up in the morning, right? That's part of your physical health. You go to climb up the stairs and you run out of breath climbing up a set of stairs. Mm-hmm. That's your physical health. Sure. Understanding that when you go and you make a choice at a restaurant of what you pick to eat for that meal, that has an impact on your physical health. And then the other side of the physical health is actually your mind and your body, right? So that mind-body connection, being able to look after ourselves from a self-care standpoint, taking care of stressors and all those other pieces. So as we're talking today, this is just going to pull in absolutely everything that we've already talked about, but then also a lot of really new things too. And perhaps we talked about some myths last time with the cognitive health, which I think was great, but there's a lot of myths in this industry, in this part of the industry as well. I chose not to focus on tons of them today and instead focus on some keeping your immunity strong and chronic illness instead, and how your physical health focuses on those things. So getting regular exercise, of course, is the biggest part of physical health. And that's what we were just talking about, that, right? What do we do for exercise? What do we do to move our bodies and keep our bodies strong so they can function and do all the things we want to do every day? So we can run up a set of stairs and not feel winded when we get to the end of it. So we can go for a bike ride with our 20-year-old kids and not feel like they're like running circles around us, like we can't keep up to them anymore, right? All those kinds of things, that regular exercise gives you that from a physical health standpoint. But then we want to add our nutrition in. And you and I could talk for hours about nutrition and about what we should do or what we shouldn't do. The reality is, for most people, just keep it simple. Just have a balanced diet, eat a little bit of all the different nutrients that are there. So you're eating carbs, proteins, and fats, get a little bit of each of them in at each meal, and then carry on with life and not stress about too much of it beyond that. And then your mindfulness and the self-care part can be anything that makes you feel like you can release some of the stress that happens on a day-to-day basis, so that you're not feeling like you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off all day long, every day, right? And so we have those tools so that we can bring ourselves down, and so that our physical health doesn't suffer because our stress is too high, right? So those are kind of the main pieces. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I mean, I figured you could just be like, yeah, no problem, Donna, whatever. So my big thing always when I'm talking to people about physical health is that most people will just wait until they're sick before they start doing anything to improve their physical health. And so I'll get people that will say, oh, my mom just got diagnosed with a respiratory illness, and I don't want to end up like that, so I'm going to start doing something different. Or they themselves get sick and they're diagnosed with something, and then they decide they're going to do something to look after their health. And this kind of goes back to our purpose, right? The very first week when we talked about purpose. What is your reason for wanting to improve your physical health? And for a lot of people, their purpose is, I just got told I'm sick.
Sure.
And so now I've got to do something, right?
Yeah.
And I think one of the big things for me is teaching people that one of the biggest advantages to having good physical health isn't the number on a scale. It is because it is such a massive preventative medicine tool. Yeah. It is the biggest preventative medicine tool that we have in our toolbox. It is better than any drug that you can give anybody for anything is physical exercise, right? And so we can talk about mental health and many different drugs on the market for mental health issues. Exercise beats them all every single time in every single study. Yeah. So being able to move your body and being able to do those things to increase your physical health is just the biggest medicine that you can give yourself, quite honestly. Yeah.
I think I mentioned that earlier in the series, like that was for me, my purpose at the beginning. It was mental health. Like I just needed to do something to kind of reset and get in a better place. And still today for me, I love physical fitness, mobility, whether it's weights or just walking or anything, right? But it's for my mental health, right? So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And so when we talk about those benefits, I have a huge long list and we can talk about each one just a little tiny bit, but we are going to talk more in depth about a couple of them. So the number one is chronic disease risk, right? So the big one is when we move our bodies more, it absolutely decreases our risks of having any other kind of chronic disease. And we talked about that right at the very beginning as well. The percentages, it's over 80%. Some of them are over 90% decrease if your physical health is good, if you're moving regularly, right? But a lot of people don't consider their bone health. Yeah. Right? So your bones and your muscles stay stronger the more you move them. So that whole use it or lose it is very, very true, right? We need to move our bodies to maintain that strength of our bones and strength of our muscles. And so you see a lot of those people that become very crippled and very rounded forward as they go older because their bone density has decreased or because they've lost so much muscle mass that they physically can't hold themselves up, right? And so if we want to age well, and age independently, we need our physical strength. We need our bones to be strong, right? And that's a bottom line. It has nothing to do with the size of our bodies, but it has everything to do with the amount of movement we've done, the kinds of movement we've done to keep those things nice and strong so that we can be strong into our 80s and 90s, right? Cardiovascular and respiratory health. So we were just kind of talking about this earlier too. We said, I'm doing a little bit more cardio now and going back to doing a little bit more of that. And do you need to run to improve your cardiovascular health? No, right? People can just start going for walks. It doesn't have to be complicated, but we do want to have a strong cardiovascular and a strong respiratory system. And you can get both of those from just simply starting to walk every single day. Increasing your energy. A lot of people just say, Don, I have no energy left at the end of the day to be able to do anything. And the energy thing is a bit of a vicious cycle because we don't have any energy by the time we're done at the end of the day. So then we don't want to exercise. We don't want to move. We end up sitting on the couch and watching TV or sitting on our phones and doing nothing. And then that cycle just repeats itself. But the reality is that if we get up and we actually start moving, that's our first break in the cycle. And the more we start to move, the more our energy actually increases. And then you're not stuck in that vicious cycle anymore. Taking the first step actually helps to change where your energy just starts to increase and spiral and spiral and spiral. And then you don't feel like you need a nap on the couch at 6 o'clock anymore. Right. And I know lots of people that come into the studio too, every day, I just want to go ahead and lay down and have a nap. Right. I hit 6 o'clock and I need a nap before supper. Right. But they're not doing anything to help themselves move. Right.
And I know again, I can only use myself as an example, but it was the grind was a little bit hard at first getting into the routine, but I slept much better. Like the cycle changed, right? Like
the cycle changed.
Better. I could get up with more energy. Everybody's different. I'm one that works out. I like first thing in the morning. I know my daughters would prefer in the evening and they prefer that better. But so everybody's different from that regard. But I know when I started to have it, I slept much better. When I went to sleep, I slept all night. Woke up it was, so my recovery was better.
Yeah.
I think is
Yeah.
kind of what started to happen.
Yeah. And then you had more energy during the day.
Yeah, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So that you could get through all the things that you wanted to get done and didn't feel like, oh, there's another thing on the list still. I'm too tired.
Mhm.
Right?
Yeah.
And you could get through the things that you wanted to get done in a day.
Sure.
Right? And that's important too, because we want to feel, again, like we have purpose, we're productive, we're doing something that contributes, right?
Mhm.
And when we lose that piece of it, then we're losing a pillar off of our table. And lack of energy definitely takes its toll on the other pillars. So boost your mood and manage stress. You describe it really, really well, right? And I think it's super common. I think that a lot of us deal with a lot of stress.
Mhm.
If you're a business owner, you have a whole different kind of stress. If you're a parent and you're working full time, you have different stresses. If you're a single parent, you have a lot of stress, right? And so we all have our own stress, and then we all have our ways that we manage and deal with it.
Right.
But when we are physically active and we're looking after our physical body, it definitely alters how we're able to deal with stressors,
Sure.
right? Because it changes how our hormones work. It changes all those receptors in our body and makes us so that we're more resilient and we can actually handle stress better. When we aren't looking after our physical health, we become less resilient.
Okay.
So, sleep, you already talked about. So I know when I am active during the day, I too sleep way better. If I miss my activity in the day, I do notice after a couple of days that I'm not sleeping as well anymore. And it doesn't seem to take very long, actually.
Right.
And it's, what am I missing? What's changed? Oh, yeah, I didn't go for my walk today, right? Or whatever it might be.
Sure.
So sleep is a big one. And then memory and your brain's health gets better the more physical activity that you do, right? And so this also goes to the energy, it goes to the mental health. All of those things tie together and affect how your brain functions. We talked about cognitive health last week, right? And so if we're feeling depressed, low energy, and we haven't slept, how well is our brain functioning?
Right.
And so if we're physically healthy, those things tend not to be an issue, and then our brain is just functioning on a much higher level. Your quality of life improves. So there's a big difference between being able to move day-to-day life, feeling strong, feeling capable. You figure even something as simple as I've had clients say, I'm not able to grab 3 bags of groceries in each hand and carry them into my house. I want to be strong enough to do that. I want to be able to pull start a lawnmower, right? So little day-to-day things sometimes that we don't even think about. I would like to be able to stand on one leg and put on my sock, right?
Yeah.
Which is like, how simple of a task is that, right? But that's a quality of life thing. I would like to be able to get up and down out of a chair without having to push with my arms.
Yeah.
Quality of life, right? And all of those things have a direct impact on how long you can live independently. So it's really important that for quality of life, we have good, strong physical health. Self-esteem and confidence. So maybe you can speak to this one a little bit, right? But when we feel tired, when we're always stressed, when we're not sleeping, it tends to have a really big effect on how we feel about ourselves, period.
Yes.
And our image of ourselves.
Yes.
And I don't think we necessarily tie those things together at the time. But I know from being in this industry for as long as I have been, that there is a direct correlation between people moving more, starting to feel stronger, starting to feel more capable, getting better sleep, stress reduction, and then how they feel about themselves. And then it all ties together, right?
Yeah.
So if your self-esteem is higher and you feel more confident, are you more likely to continue? Yes. So it just builds that cycle for you, right?
For sure. And self-image, right? Like for me, just a sense and that sense of accomplishment. Again, I mentioned earlier, I work out first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
So when I can be like, heading home from the gym and I can be like, you have a sense of accomplishment, you've already done something for the day, right? You're moving on to the next thing. For me, it really sets the day up, but I think, it just helps you feel, it gives you, a better self-image personally when you feel like you're getting things done too, right? Like, and you're following through, right? So yeah, I think that's the biggest piece for me personally.
Yeah, and I think there's a little bit of a piece there of, I said I was going to do something,
Yes.
and I did that thing, right? And you're keeping your word to yourself, right? And I think for a lot of people, that they also don't realize that that's a big deal, right? That you have followed through and you've kept your promise to you. And that you're really the only person that matters, right? You can't do these things for your health for somebody else. You have to choose to do them for yourself, right? And so when you do choose to do them for the reasons that are important, it's way easier to continue. It's way easier to keep up that regular cycle of doing the exercise every day. And when you start to notice how you feel afterwards and that recognition that, look what I just did. That's pretty good. Like, good job, man. Right? And you can give yourself a pat on the back because it's like, look how I started my morning today. I feel fantastic. Does that set your tone for the entire day? Yes.
100%.
Right? I'm an afternoon workout. I'm lucky that I have that availability in my schedule to do that, but it chops up my day. And I can tell you 100% my brain works better when I then go back and sit down and work again. Right? Because it gives me that little break in the middle. It's kind of a reset. I can listen to a podcast, do whatever I need to do, move my body, make myself feel good, and then go back in again. And it's like, now I feel good.
Yeah, and you look forward to it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
My one daughter likes the gym a lot, and I think that's why she likes more than you do. She looks forward to it, right? Well, both of them actually look forward to it. They enjoy it. So where I would kind of have that, I just want to get it out of the way, and get it done, and feel like I knocked something off the list in a sense, kind of, right? That'd be maybe more my mentality, but yeah.
But that's just a perfect example of everybody's different.
100%, everybody's different.
Right? And figuring out what is it for you, right? And that probably didn't come immediately. There was some trial and error and figuring it out and what works best for me and how do I feel best? Do I have to get up and run at 6 a.m. or do I have to get up at 5:30 a.m. or how does this work for me, right? And once you figure it out and you start doing it consistently, how it affects your self-esteem and your confidence definitely has a big switch there. So we talked about prolonging independence already. And then a huge one is having a healthy immune system. And I don't know that necessarily a lot of people connect the two things, but the more physically healthy you are, the stronger your immune system is. Period.
Makes sense.
Yeah. But until somebody says it, sometimes we don't connect it. Right? All right. Any questions about anything else? No? I'm good because we're going to talk about immune systems.
There we go.
So right now we have a lot of people that are just worried all the time about catching every single thing that goes around. And if you're kind of catching yourself saying that and then I'm a little worried about being anybody else around that's sick, how sick you get, unless of course you're on immune system blockers or, you have autoimmune diseases or other things, right? There's always exceptions. So nobody get mad at me because I'm not saying all the exceptions, but as a general rule, if you are getting sick every single time someone anywhere around you is sick, it's because your immune system's weak, and your immune system is weak because one of your pillars is weak. Or more than one of your pillars is weak. So if you're sick all the time, I'm going to say you have more than one pillar that's weak. If you're sick, a little bit, right? Probably fewer pillars that are sick, that are weak. The stronger your pillars, the stronger your immune system is, and the less likely you are to get sick, which means you have to be good at stress management, right? You have to be good at a lot of different things to be able to find that balance in there. But I think we've kind of forgotten how important our physical health is to keeping our immune system really, really strong. And we have a lot more people that are sick a lot more often now than we did, say, 40 years ago, right? And we're a lot less active than we were. 40 years ago, we spent an awful lot more time on computers and sitting in, right, than we did 40 years ago. So how do we do this? First thing is you want to regulate your sleep cycle. And I had a lady one day say to me, well, what's more important, Donna? Your diet or your exercise? I said, neither one.
Yeah.
Neither one of those things is the most important. Your sleep is the most important thing. Bar none, your sleep is the most important. Because if you're not sleeping, the rest of it doesn't matter. Because that's when your body heals. That's when it rejuvenates all the things it needs to rejuvenate. That's when you get all the cellular repair. That's when you get your muscles, reconstructing and feeling better after a workout. The sleep is the most important part. And so going to bed at the same time every night, getting up at the same time every morning. That's how you set your circadian rhythm, is you want to make sure that you're getting enough sleep and that you can go to sleep at the same time and get up in the morning at the same time, even on the days when you don't want to. It just happens. Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. So that's the first thing. And then making sure that when you do have that sleep cycle set, that you actually sleep well, right?
So, and what ties in really close to this is, for me personally, when I get sick, I was earlier this month.
Yep.
But it's when I'm running short of sleep, for example, right? Like you've said, you've overcommitted and you're doing everything and you've gone straight for 2 weeks. For me, it was there was a conference, just went straight through for like 2 weeks straight, everything going on, and then I'm fine Monday and Tuesday. I'm
not fine.
Not good.
I'm not good anymore.
How it hits you, like,
yes,
and it's 100% the recovery. And
yes,
it's time to sleep.
It's time to sleep.
It is. But
yeah, and we keep pushing through, right? And so this is the reduced stress is the next thing that is a big thing for having a healthy immune system. And so if we are running nonstop for 2 weeks and we've got meeting after meeting and we're not really getting enough sleep, and perhaps we're not eating the same way because we're rushing from place to place to place and our stress is high and maybe we miss a couple of workouts and right? And then all of a sudden your body's like, oh, this was a lot.
Yeah.
And you're more susceptible, right? It just decreases your body's ability to fight things off because all the other pieces aren't working together anymore, right? Daily movement is a massive part of having a strong immune system.
Sure.
And so this is, again, that physical health piece. And the daily movement can be as simple as you go for a walk every day. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't have to be a complicated thing. And I'll say that again over and over. It doesn't have to be complicated. But getting outside every day for fresh air, you combine those two things together. Just get outside and go for a walk. Helps to boost your immune system, right? Eating your balanced diet, making sure you've got carbs, proteins, and fats, that you're eating all three of those things. And then minimizing drinking our calories.
Mm-hmm. That's always the easiest one to get out.
It's always one of those easiest ones, right? But it is amazing the effect that alcohol has on our systems, right? And how it can decrease your immune system's ability to fight things off.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. And so a lot of people will get sick after Christmas parties, right? Or weekends of celebrating or those kinds of things. The interesting one that actually happens to people a lot is when they start working out, they just start a brand new exercise program. Within the first couple of weeks, they'll get sick. And do you know why that might be? Why do people get sick when they start doing an exercise program?
Similar, like their body, they're not used to it, so they get wore out a little bit.
Yeah.
So they're not recovering quick enough.
That's it exactly. Yeah. It's it exactly. So they start out of the gate typically too hard, too fast. Their bodies aren't used to doing that. They get worn down. They're not eating enough to replenish their body, the activity that they've had, or they're dieting and not eating enough food, period, right? And then their bodies get worn out. And because exercise is a stress. Mm-hmm. It's a stress to your system, right? And so, if you overdo it, then all of a sudden you're sick.
Yeah. I may have done that.
You may have done that. I think we've all done that at some point or another. Yeah. But there's definitely there's a schedule that goes with that, right? Yeah. So staying hydrated is also part of keeping our immune system nice and strong. It's also part of our physical health.
Sure.
And then including vitamins. So C, D, zinc, quercetin to your supplements during cold and flu season can actually be very, very helpful to help give your system a little bit of a boost. And part of the reason for that is because some of them actually help with stress, right? So they can help your body to manage some of that stress, and then you're less likely to get sick. So, and then I like garlic and turmeric. So those things are both fantastic for your immune system. Yeah.
I'm a big fan of turmeric and garlic. And then, I always make sure I take extra supplements of D for the winter too, especially. Yeah. Vitamin D.
Yeah. I mean, if our last couple of days are any indication, it's been just gloomy, right?
You need it, right?
And you need it.
It helps. So,
Yeah. So, that's what I have for healthy immune system. Anything else you would add or consider?
No, that makes a lot. Actually, on top of you're talking alcohol, but I guess not only is it, it would also naturally dehydrate you, right?
Yes.
So that's the other piece.
100%.
Yeah. So it's something to be cognizant of too.
Yeah. There's not that I want to encourage people to do this, but you want to make sure that if you are out for like Christmas party and that kind of thing, that you still remember to drink water while you're out, right? Yeah. Decades ago, I worked in the bar, and so we would always say, okay, well, if you're going to have a drink, make sure you have a glass of water. If you're going to have a drink, then have a glass of water. Now, most people don't do that, but it does help to keep you hydrated in between, and then you're less likely to be as hungover, and it doesn't decrease things as much if you're getting a little hydration in there in between.
Anyways, it kind of ties together.
Yep, it does so. It does so. All right, so these are our statistics. Now, these are a couple of years old because, of course, statistics are always a few years behind with everything, no matter what you're looking at. So, but over 80% of chronic illness can be solved with lifestyle change. That's a massive number.
Sure.
And especially right now when we're having so many debates about our healthcare system and our healthcare system not working and it being so expensive and all these things, if we, as just citizens in our communities and in our provinces, our country, start to be more proactive about our health and start to implement things where we are less likely to end up with chronic health issues, we're less likely to have a weak immune system, do we automatically take pressure off of our healthcare system? Yeah, right. And every single time the government is here and we're having conversations about healthcare, I'm there saying, when are we going to start putting more money into being proactive about our health? When are we going to start teaching our kids about their physiology? When are we going to start teaching kids about their mental health and making sure they understand how important their physical health is so that they aren't coming up with these illnesses later, so that their mental health is looked after, so that they don't have to be relying on medications to keep their bodies healthy? When are we going to start doing that? Yeah. Because it saves the healthcare system a lot of money when we talk about preventative care rather than reactionary care, right? And we talked about that the very, very first week when I was here. And so this goes straight back to that. So we kind of come full circle in our discussion, but 80% is a high number. And so if you could do just a few small things to decrease your chances of needing a doctor, decrease your chances of being in the hospital, decrease your chances of having chronic illness, is that not worth doing those few things?
100%.
I think it is, right? And so this is why this reducing chronic illness is my number one reason why I really want people to quit focusing on what the scale says, because it doesn't matter. This is what matters. This is what matters.
My cardiologist explained it in the most simplest terms for me to understand. We were talking about heart health, and he said it's essentially like a light bulb. A light bulb has only a certain amount of hours of life. Your heart has a certain amount of beats. If you can even reduce it 2 or 3 beats, resting per minute, beats per, it just extends the life of it that much longer. And I never even really thought of it that way. And it's like very simplistic way of thinking about it, right? And it's amazing how you can lower your resting heart rate quite easily with the right amount of fluids and a little less sodium and walking, for example. Just very basic, like getting some cardio in and making sure you stay hydrated and sodium intake can kind of add a little pressure. That's what I found anyways. And
Yeah.
it just, so that was just one very simple way he explained it to me. I thought it was kind of neat.
It's a very good analogy.
Yeah.
It is a very, very good analogy, because 72 is about an average resting heart rate. So can you imagine if your resting heart rate is 62 and you save 10 beats a minute, or off of what your resting heart rate, that's significant.
Yeah. Have you potentially added 10 years of life in your heart? Great. Great. Anyways, it was just a very interesting analogy. When he told me that.
Yeah. It doesn't have to work as hard.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet. So, so cardiovascular disease is big. 80 to 90% decrease with diet, exercise, and quitting smoking. Those three things alone. So just cleaning up our diet. So a little less processed food, a little more, just finding that balance of not buying things in packages that have all the extra additives to them. Sure. Exercise, which could be just going for a walk, and then quitting smoking. Is your cardiovascular disease. Type 2 diabetes, which right now is huge. There's a lot of, we're talking about blood sugar more and more right now. So that can be prevented or delayed 90% of the time with lifestyle changes. 90%. So if you could keep yourself off of insulin or off of medication by changing your lifestyle, does that make it worthwhile? Especially if you have a predisposition in your family. Right? Same with the cardiovascular disease. If you have a predisposition in your family, then you want to be looking after your lifestyle changes. They did an interesting study years and years ago, and they took twins, identical twins. And one of the twins would look after themselves and made different lifestyle choices, and the other twin did not. And they smoked, they drank, they did whatever. There's a history of heart disease in the family, right? And so the one twin basically says, I don't care, I'm gonna have heart disease anyway, what difference does it make? And the other twin says, no, I'm gonna do something. And the difference in their life was huge. The one that just smoked, drank, didn't look after themselves, died 10 to 15 years earlier than the other twin. Wow. Same genes, same everything. And there was that big of a difference because they looked after their health. Yeah, the twin studies are really interesting because they're so close, right? Like there's not a lot of factors that you can go, oh, well, that's not the same between people. They're the same person, essentially, right? So you can decrease your chance of stroke by 80% by changing your lifestyle and changing your physical health. 40% of cancers can be eliminated through proper diet, exercise, and quitting smoking and drinking. 40%. And right now we have a massive boom in what's happening with cancers. And so if you are predisposed to cancer, you want to be looking after this. And respiratory illness and COPD, 80% decrease with lifestyle change. So my advice to people is stop waiting until you're sick to do something. Do something now instead of waiting for it, right? It is way easier to keep yourself healthy when you're already healthy. It's harder to get healthy if you're already sick. So if you can prolong that and you can make it so that you have a lower chance of getting sick, but then also that you're more likely to heal faster when you do get sick, or if you get sick, then it's 100% worthwhile. Yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic because your motivation, if you get sick, is probably higher. But to get started with a lifestyle change and before you're sick is easier, but you don't have the motivation. Like it's really interesting. Like you have to really question yourself, like to make that lifestyle change, to be proactive, right? But that purpose might not be as strong at the moment, right? Where we talked about that earlier.
That's why it's important to have a strong purpose, right? Why does any of this matter to you? Right? Maybe your purpose is because I know my mental health is suffering right now. Like I need to do something now. I know I'm super stressed. I know like X, Y, and Z are happening in my life right now, and I need to look after those things. Maybe your purpose is because you're seeing your aunt, your mom, and your grandma go through breast cancer. Maybe that's your purpose.
Right.
But not everybody has those things, right? And we always say, I don't have any motivation,
Right.
right? I need some motivation, or I need somebody to motivate me. Motivation doesn't work that way.
No.
Motivation comes from action.
Right.
And so until you take that very first step and you start doing something, you will never have motivation. You need to take the first step.
Mm-hmm.
And are those first steps hard? Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. But once you start taking them, action breeds more action.
Mm-hmm.
And then that action breeds motivation. And then that motivation breeds more action. And then it's just, then you get the wheel rolling and away you go, right? And then you start to see some of the changes and you go, oh yeah, I feel better. I sleep better. I think better. I'm less stressed. All the things start happening. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, this isn't hard anymore. It's just part of what I do.
Yes.
Right. I get up every day and I go for a run. That's just what I do.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And if I miss a day, it's not the end of the world. The next day I'm just going to get up and I'm going to go for a run. Right. Whatever. But until you actually take that first step and you start creating the motivation for yourself and figure out what your purpose is so that you can do it, it's hard to do. Yeah. That's why so many people need a coach, or they need somewhere to go, right? Where it's really hard to work out in your own house.
It is. Yeah. I can see that.
Right. And part of that is because you need that outside encouragement, and that you need somebody in your corner to really just kind of, sometimes it's community, right? In my studio, it's very much a family and everybody expects everybody else there. There's lots of laughter and everybody's talking all the time and it's fantastic. For CrossFit, a lot of it is everybody is there cheering you on, right? It's a very strong community of people that cheer you on. A lot of people get that in the gym. And can that help to keep you in action? Yes.
Yeah, that is actually a shout out, I would say, to any gym I've ever been to, whether I've been traveling and I go to an outside gym or a different one I normally don't go to. But initially I thought I was nervous of the gym culture before going. And today, like, I can wholeheartedly say people are very encouraging in those places, whether I've shown up at a spin class or whatnot, it doesn't matter. People are very encouraging in that space. So I guess for anybody listening, like, if that's something that makes you nervous, they are encouraging spaces. So I wouldn't let that worry you. I know it's easy to think about.
Yeah. And I would say that anyone that's in that environment has always had their first day in that environment.
They started where you were. Right?
They did,
Yeah.
right? And they walked in feeling the same way. They didn't start where they are. They had to start where you were too.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes we forget that because we see where they are now.
Sure.
Right? We don't know where that person started.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's sometimes a little bit of a lesson to remember everybody's had to start with their first time walking in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that's my spiel on chronic illness. All right. So some things that you can do. These are just small practical tips. And some of these we've talked about before, but habits require commitment and consistency. So these are things that you want to be doing regularly, daily, if at all possible. So these are all things that are on my list every single day. Okay. So first thing is to start small and not try and do all of this at one time. add one thing at a time. Do it for 2 to 3 weeks. Make sure you figured out how you can consistently do it. So if it is something like adding strength training as an example, where am I going to do it? How long am I going to do it for? What do I need if I need to buy some things for myself, right? But just simple. And do I just start with 15 minutes in my basement, or am I going to go down to Fit for Less? Am I going to get a membership and go to the gym? Or am I going to go down to the service center? Am I going to join a class, right? What do I want to do? Am I going to go and start a Pilates class because I want a little bit of, I'm injured and I would like to have some guidance and some extra help, whatever it is, right? But that you do that one thing first, get it in your schedule, figure out how you're doing it, and be consistent with it, and then add the next thing.
Yeah.
Right. And so then we can talk about just taking some time to breathe every day. Right. Breathing is a massive, massive help for almost every single pillar that we've talked about up until this point. So even just 5 minutes. And what can that breathing do? Well, from a cardiovascular standpoint, it can drop your resting heart rate. So then we've now extended the lifespan of your heart just by spending a couple of minutes breathing each and every day, right? Get out and get some fresh air. Even if you just stand outside on your front step and breathe and kill two birds with one stone, right? You're still getting that fresh air, which will definitely help to make you more alert. It'll wake you up. You'll just feel better from breathing in fresh air. And then getting your breaths in at the same time. Go for a walk and get 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Practice strategies to manage stress. And so the reason I put just strategies on there is because there's so many ways. There's so many things you can do to manage your stress. And so you have to do a little trial and error and figure out what works best for you.
100%, yeah.
Right? Some people it's journaling. Some people it's gratitude. Some people it's breathing. Some people it's just, everybody's different.
Yeah, and I think
right?
personality types come into play. Some are introverts and they need that time alone to reflect, and some need to be around some people and they recharge. Like,
Yeah.
I think everybody has a different way. You just kind of need to figure it out. Right?
Yeah. I have a friend that their way of de-stressing is to go play pickleball. And whacking a ball around is how they de-stress. It's like, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
When I was in university, racquetball was my way of de-stressing.
Okay.
It was the best thing ever. I loved racquetball, right? And we would just go into the gym, and there's 2 racquetball courts there. And at the end of the day, just it is amazing. You hit a ball really hard into a wall, how much better you feel when you're done.
Yeah.
Right? So it can be any strategy that you want. Right. And then for a lot of people, it's hiring a coach, right? And maybe you need a coach to help you organize all these things and figure it out, because really you kind of have to treat your body like an experiment. You have to figure out what works for Peter, because what works for Peter is not working for Donna. It's not working for Tess. Everybody is going to be different. Right.
Yeah.
And so it is often hard to step back and evaluate where you are and what needs to change when you're in the middle of it. But when you treat yourself like an experiment and just kind of step back out of it and go, that's not working. Why not? What part of that is working, right? What could I change? Sometimes doing that on your own is really, really hard.
Sure.
Right? Being retrospective is difficult for many of us. So hiring a coach can be a big boost for people to help get them on that right track for building their physical health. So.
And a YouTube fitness influencer is not the answer.
That's not the answer. And the newest thing is just dumping your info into AI and then let it spit out the things. And can AI spit out a few things for you? Yes. But AI isn't speaking to you. AI isn't helping you through all those bits and pieces of the investigative part of what's working and what's not working. Because if you can't tell AI what's working and what's not working, it can't tell you how to fix it. Right. And so it can give you some help for sure. But I think we really need to recognize that person to person part is also very important when you're on a health journey. So, don't give up on your personal trainers and your people that are here to help you, that have training to do that.
And I think just experimenting, like drop-in classes of trying some things out to see if you like them or not. It's not a bad thing at all, right? Nope. And I know a few people, different people, a guy and a lady now that have like started going to the gym, and they didn't really know the equipment, so they get set up with a trainer just a couple times. Like it doesn't have to be an ongoing thing. I guess what I'm saying from a cost perspective. Like but they plan to have a few sessions to kind of figure out a bit of their fitness goals, understand how the equipment works, and then they'll kind of start moving on their own a little bit. Because I think again, sometimes some of those spaces can be a little intimidating, right?
Absolutely.
So,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And excuse me, and that's really a big part of hiring a coach too, is that if you're intimidated by the environment that you're in, what better way than to get to know somebody that's in it?
Sure.
And then you have somebody to go and talk to and go, okay, I don't quite understand this. What could I do with it? But you already know a person, right? And that's always been one of my favorite parts about being in the fitness space, is that you do have that ability to really make changes for people because you cut down on the intimidation factor a lot for them, right? It's just, yeah, you're always that person that somebody can come to and just say, hey, I forgot how to set this machine. Can you come show me again? Right? And then it's okay. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So, all right. So those are my practical tips for you. Keep it simple. Most important parts. The most important parts are the things we don't think of that are part of health. So the first 5 weeks that we were talking, all those things are some of the most important parts. The physical health part, is it important? Yes, of course, right? We need to move, but that's the part that everybody knows about. Everybody knows they should walk and they should be getting out and getting more movement, right? It's the other things that we don't consider as often that we really need to be thinking about more often. So that's sleep and stress reduction for me are always the top two. And a lot of people will say, well, I'm eating well and I'm going to the gym, but nothing's changing and I'm not feeling better. Well, if that's what's happening, you didn't address these top two things. So even when you're working out all the time and you're eating better, because the working out causes stress to your system, if you're not dealing with the stress and you're still not getting enough sleep, you're not getting the benefits out of doing the workouts anyway. So are you better to cut back on your workouts and focus on your sleep and your stress reduction? Actually, yes. Yeah, you are. So those are the first two things. Having a nervous system that's on high alert all the time is actually not great for your health. And so we want to make sure that that's looked after so that we can get the most out of doing the other things. But yeah, I hear a lot, well, not mostly women because I deal with so many women all the time, but it happens for men too, where you're going and you think you're doing all the things right. And then you sit down and have a conversation with somebody like me and realize, wow, I am stressed. Wow, I haven't slept properly probably in 6 months or whatever, right? So yeah, those are my big ones. Hydration and things that help you to stay hydrated are next. So most people think hydration is just about how much water do I drink. It is about way more than just how much water do you drink. So I always use the analogy of a sponge. Have you ever taken a super dry sponge and had it in your sink and you just turn the tap on full force and try and get the sponge wet? What happens to the water? It just falls off the side, right? It just hits it and it bounces off of a dry sponge. That's what happens to your body too. So if you've gone all day and you haven't drank any of your water and you all of a sudden go, oh, am I ever thirsty? And you grab that bottle and glug, 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 half an hour later, you're going to be in the bathroom because your tissue is already dehydrated. So everything just ran straight through. So people will say, but I started drinking water, Donna, and all I did was sit in the bathroom. It's because all you did was guzzle water. If you take that same sponge and you turn the tap on drip, it will become saturated faster than if you pour water on it. Your body works exactly the same way. So we have to make sure that we're hydrating regularly, not just once a day grabbing a bottle of water and guzzling it as quickly as we can. And then that's all the water that we drink, right? The other part of it is that your body has to move so that the layers of your tissue stay hydrated. So it could be standing in your kitchen, you're making some supper and bouncing on your toes, right? Anything like that. Doing things like dry brushing before you get into a shower can actually help with hydration of your body. And so that's a simple thing. You just take a brush and rub it all over yourself before you hop in the shower, right? And so if you're not doing the things that will actually allow your body to absorb the water that you're drinking, you actually don't get hydrated. And so we talked about sodium just briefly earlier. And so sodium, yes, people need to cut down on sodium for sure. But did you know that everybody still needs to be getting enough salt in their diet or they become dehydrated?
Yeah, you need salt.
Right?
For sure. Yeah.
So you need salt. But the kind of salt matters. So when you buy just regular table salt, it pools on the outside of the cells and it doesn't absorb, it doesn't allow things to get through to the cellular level, right? But things like Himalayan salt and Celtic salt actually have more minerals in them, and they are fantastically good for you. So if you look at any of the drinks right now that are hydration drinks, they all have Himalayan salt in them. And that is because it does help your body to actually absorb nutrients on a cellular level.
Yes.
So for all the people that sell all the drinks out there, you could just buy some Himalayan salt and get the same result. And use some Himalayan salt each day.
Yeah. And just stay away from the meats that give you the meat sweats.
Yes.
That's the ones you want to stay away from.
That's the ones. Yes. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. But actually having enough good salt in your diet actually does help with hydration.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that people are doing that. Yeah, and it's probably one of the things when people come in, they're telling me that their like joints are aching all the time, and then they sleep at night, their joints ache and stuff. One of the first things I give them is actually Himalayan salt because it has such an impact on how their joints feel.
Okay.
Yeah. So big deal.
Yeah.
So hydration, and then choose activities that you like to do, right? When I coach people, they'll say, well, shouldn't I be doing this? Or I should do this, and I should do. Well, should you do lots of things? Sure. And I could tell you to do all sorts of things. But if you hate every single minute of it, are you going to continue doing it? No, you're not, right? So finding things that you like is super important. And if you don't know what you like, then experiment. Just like you said, go try a class, go do something, do a day pass at the gym, introduce yourself, see if they'll give you a tour, whatever, and just go try and see if maybe you do like it. If you don't like it at that one, don't say, I don't like the gym, go try a different one.
100%,
because it can matter. The atmosphere in different places is different. And so maybe you like it better at one place than another. Maybe you are trying to join a big, huge gym, but what you need is a small boutique gym instead, which we have a couple of them in town. So, right? So maybe it's just the atmosphere that you need. Maybe you need a different kind of trainer. I'm like, I don't know. And you don't know either if you've never experimented and tried. So you might just have to do a little trial and error to figure it out. Yeah. And then change your eating habits after that. One thing at a time. So instead of overloading and changing everything, just pick one thing and add more protein or whatever it might be. I'm going to add a vegetable 3 times a day. That's what I'm going to do because I don't eat vegetables or whatever.
Yeah. And I know that's one thing I found and I've heard from a lot of people is they get really caught up in the eating thing and almost sabotage themselves because they'll undereat like at their meal times and then they snack too much or something. And especially when you're starting to add movement.
Yes.
Your body's looking for more energy and then so it's just being cognizant of your intake and making sure you eat a good healthy amount, especially if you're having the output, because there's nothing wrong with that. It's
and I mean health is simple, but it's also complicated.
Sure it is.
Right? Because we're human and we're complicated.
We're
all complicated. And if we were all the same, it would be easy, but we're not. And so sometimes it's just with this most important part, sometimes it's just reach out and ask somebody for help. Because if you're not doing it, or you say, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it, you need a coach. You need somebody to help you, right? It's probably one of the most common things that I hear all the time. I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. Well, then you need somebody to help you so that you can start doing it, right? And we have lots of them. We have tons of coaches in town. So there's lots of people to choose from if you need some help. Yeah. So quit waiting for motivation. Action is first. All right. Taking care of your physical health is essential for overall well-being. When you invest in your health today, you enjoy a better tomorrow and live life to the fullest. My goal is to help as many people find joy in movement so that they can live their lives to the fullest. Because we seem to all of a sudden think that it's normal to be sore, not able to move, not able to do things, and it's not normal. It's just common. So, we need healthier people. Imagine if our whole community was like super healthy. Wouldn't that be amazing?
I mean, and again, and it's just everybody they can do. You don't have to do a certain thing. Like some people run, some people do this, some people. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. It's just some movement. I'm not a big fan of getting out and walking in the winter, but I'm starting to enjoy it because I love walking our dog. So I don't. It's not a very long walk. Maybe less. It's a 10-minute walk, but at first it's getting cold. I don't like this, but the fresh it is so refreshing
It
just to
is.
go out. So there's many different things you can find and just do it, and it's just that little bit extra movement or I don't, whatever you can do to kind of add to it. Right. Sometimes I add it into my routine, even like just to make my day go like. To get extra steps, like I'll try to park further away when I'm going to get groceries or running errands, just to, because it's amazing some extra steps. If you had a busy day, you can get to the gym. Well, you can get some steps other ways while you're getting your things done. Right?
Yeah. And it sounds kind of cliche because those things have been said for years, right? Oh, just park further away. Just take the stairs, right? But they're true. They work. They absolutely work. They've been said for years because those things work, right? If you have the option of climbing 2 flights of stairs, or if you have escalators and a set of steps in the middle, take the stairs.
Yeah.
Right? All those things make a difference. Yeah. So I did a thing for anybody that is taking part in any of our videos. If they've watched them or whatever else, we'll do some free 15-minute goal setting sessions for people if they need some help.
Awesome.
Or if they need some help to just figure out where do they need to go for help, depending on what they have going on. And so they can call us, they can email us, or they can use the QR codes that we've been sharing on the slideshows, because I know Tess has been sharing the slideshows too. Awesome. So, and so they can use those, and we'll just book them in, and we can give them a hand with whatever it is that they might need.
That's very
We'll lead them in a direction and see what they need some help with. So
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So do we have any questions? Okay. No questions.
No questions. No. You just are so good at asking the questions. I don't need to answer it or ask any more of them, I guess.
It's fun. It's been fun. I've really enjoyed this series. But it's a little bit close to me. I kind of enjoy this stuff, but it's been awesome. So.
Yeah. Well, and I hope everybody learned something. I know I've run into a few people that said, I didn't really realize that there are that many things that contributed to our overall health, or how they were all connected, or any of those things. So there's been a few interesting conversations about it. So I hope more people take advantage of the fact that they can go back and get some little tidbits. And even if it just starts more people walking, or, starts somebody calling up a friend and saying, hey, let's go do this, and they're kind of fulfilling their relationship portion and some physical health portion and some mental health portion all at the same time, just from calling a friend and saying, hey, let's go for a walk.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
Yeah.
So if it inspires some of that, then we did good things.
That's good.
That's good.
For sure.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we're good. I don't have any other questions.
You don't have any other questions for me?
I think we had a good session. So, so thank you again for this series. Really appreciate your time you put into this and working with us on this. So, and thank you for viewing and watching. We appreciate each and every one of you coming and checking out our series. And hope you have a great night and stay healthy out there.